In the heart of a desolate forest, hidden from prying eyes, lay Ashwood Asylum, a place shrouded in malevolent history. Abandoned for decades, it was rumored to be a vortex of torment and despair. Tales of inhumane experiments, anguished screams, and restless spirits were whispered among the locals. Few dared to approach, believing it to be a threshold to unspeakable horrors. On a cold, moonless night, 4 friends, James, Laura, Mike, and Sarah, embarked on a dare to explore the forsaken asylum. Armed with flashlights, a video camera, and a Ouija board, they set out to debunk the myths and capture evidence of their bravery. The asylum loomed before them, an imposing silhouette against the dark sky. Its broken windows resembled empty eyes, watching and waiting. As they stepped inside, the door creaked ominously, sealing their fate. The air inside was thick with decay and something far more sinister. The walls, covered in mold and eerie graffiti, seemed to close in on them. "Let's split up to cover more ground," James suggested, masking his unease with bravado. Reluctantly, they agreed and ventured into separate hallways. Laura and Mike took the east wing, while James and Sarah explored the west. Laura and Mike stumbled upon an old operating room, filled with rusted surgical instruments and blood-stained tables. The atmosphere was oppressive, thick with the residue of suffering. They set up the Ouija board on a gurney. "Let's see if there are any spirits here," Laura said, her voice trembling. As their fingers touched the planchette, a frigid breeze swept through the room. "Is anyone here with us?" Mike asked, his voice barely a whisper. The planchette moved slowly, spelling out, HELP. The temperature dropped further, and they heard faint, agonizing screams emanating from the walls. The planchette spelled, LEAV, something's wrong. "We need to get out," Mike urged. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream echoed from the west wing. It was Sarah. Panic seized them, and they raced towards the sound, their flashlights flickering as they ran. Meanwhile, James and Sarah had discovered the basement, a place where the most deranged experiments were rumored to have occurred. The air was suffocating, filled with an overwhelming sense of dread. They found a series of cells, each containing remnants of torture, tattered straitjackets, old chains, and deep claw marks. In the last cell, they discovered a diary. James read aloud, detailing the horrifying experiments conducted by a sadistic doctor. The final entry was a chilling warning: the spirits of the tormented will never rest. They seek revenge on those who trespass. As James read the last line, the cell door slammed shut, trapping them inside. The temperature plummeted, and ghostly figures materialized. It was the doctor, his face twisted with madness and malevolence. "You shouldn't have come here," he hissed, his voice echoing with a sinister resonance. Sarah screamed as the doctor's apparition lunged at them. James felt an invisible force tighten around his throat, suffocating him. Sarah banged on the door, but it wouldn't budge. The doctor's ghost laughed maniacally as James's eyes bulged in terror. When Laura and Mike reached the basement, they found Sarah in a hysterical state, pounding on the cell door. Inside, James lay lifeless, his face frozen in a rictus of fear. The doctor's spectral figure stood over him, slowly turning to face them. "Run!" Laura screamed, dragging Mike away. They fled the asylum, the doctor's laughter echoing in their minds. They never spoke of that night again, but the memory haunted their every waking moment. The townsfolk found the asylum's door ajar the next day, but none dared to enter. The legend of Ashwood Asylum grew darker, a grim reminder of the horrors within. It was a place where the living and the dead intertwined, where those who entered were doomed to a fate worse than death. And so, Ashwood Asylum stood as a testament to the darkness that lurked within human nature, a place where the boundaries of sanity and insanity blurred, forever cursed by the spirits of the damned.